So I recently did this plein air painting and I had a lot of people stop by and tell me how much they liked it. And a lot of these people were saying this from, standing 20, 30 feet behind me, just driving by in their car. They actually stop their car and say like, "Hey, that looks really good." And it's funny because I know if I would have painted this 5 years ago, it wouldn't have gotten their attention because I would have done one thing that would have probably ruined the painting, which is make things too even. All right, welcome to Paint Coach. If you're new to the channel, my name's Chris Fornatero, and I help thousands of students every single month get better at oil painting through my online courses and tutorials. So what do I mean when I say too even? Well, when I came up on the scene, this is what I saw. And now when I look at this, I see a lot of things that I like. Starting here, I like these shadows in the foreground. You see how they kind of point you in to the scene. A lot of times you'll see painters actually add those in when they're not really there to just help as a lead into the scene when there isn't one in the scene. So I'm like, I like those. Those are cool. I like these grasses. I like how they're like this warm, orangey, yellowy. They look a lot more reddish in real life. That's something with photos. I feel like reds don't translate as much into photos, but just having that red right next to this green, like it really popped. I know it's not really looking like that so much in the photo, but like that was cool. I was like, oh, I really like those. Really like this tree. I live in Florida, so I feel like these trees aren't that common. I was just like, man, like I really want to paint this tree's really cool. The lake itself, this reflection is just great. These trees in the distance would be a lot of fun to do. Very distinct light happening. Even over here, like this is a great, just like directional line leading into the scene. Also, it's hard to see in this, but like uh, this kind of stuff floating on top was really cool. There was some here, which was really nice, and then some right there on the shoreline was a really nice color. So there's like a lot of things that I like about it. And this is what I ended up doing. More or less, this is how I cropped the scene and painted it. And what I did was I chose to mainly emphasize this part of the painting. In the painting, you can see I actually made the trees take up a little more space and have a little less sky. And again, that's because I really wanted to emphasize this part of the painting. I can still have my tree, but you can see it's only taken up, not even a third really. I feel like half would be right there. And I just know myself, and if I would have tried to paint this, a few years ago, I probably would have cropped it like this because I would have really wanted to paint this tree. I really want the reflections. I really want the grass. And so I'm like, all right, I'm going to get some more of this tree in here. But what I've done is, without knowing it, I have split my canvas in half. And so it is now half tree, half, the scene behind it. And you never want to have the same shape, or you never want to split your canvas in half. You never want to have repeating spaces or repeating shapes. Even coming back to the painting here, a big part of the reason why I wanted to make these trees a little bit taller is so that the space of sky wasn't the same as the space of the trees. It's funny how much we do that just subconsciously. Like a lot of times you'll be painting and then you'll step back and you're like, wow, I just made everything even without even knowing it. And I just remember painting this, being very aware of like, okay, I don't want to make this space, and this space all the same. I mean, it could even happen with little things like these sky holes and kind of distinguishing each tree. And a lot of people will put one there, and then they'll put one there, and then they'll put one there, and they'll be like perfectly evenly spaced. Or even like creating shapes within these trees. A lot of people would like make that same shape there, and we'll make a similar shape there, like another shape there, shape there, shape there. And even down to sometimes the brushwork, a lot of times I'll see students making like the same size stroke, which is okay with certain things like, this grass where it's, similar, just, repetition of these grasses over and over. It's a similar stroke, but something like this, with a tree and the leaves or the branches, you want to vary that up. All right, gonna pause the lesson just for a second. A lot of what I'm talking about here with landscapes is linked to composition, and there's a lot to know about composition. If you struggle with composition, I did for a very long time. That's why I made my free composition coaching guide. It's a series of short, easy to understand videos that will simplify composition and help you implement it in your next painting. If you want to check that out, there's a link to it in the description of this video. All right, here's another example. There's a bunch of examples in this. There's the light beams here, making sure not to make each one of these the same size or distance apart even. These are all different lengths apart. And especially with something like that where I kind of had to make it up, like I didn't follow what I saw exactly. I followed the direction of them, but where they were, I kind of wanted to strategically place for compositional reasons. And so when I was doing that, I was very aware of like, okay, don't make these the same size, don't make them the same space apart. Same with the trees too, because I didn't put every single tree that you see. And I also didn't put, you can see like I leaned this one a little bit, I leaned that a little bit. Whenever you have like trees or like if there was like fence posts or something here, uh, even if they are pretty all straight, it's always good to like have them lean a little bit. Uh, Again, just that perfect even straightness. It can draw your eye to it in a bad way. Whenever things are perfectly spaced, or there's repetition in the same shapes, it's going to draw the viewer's eye there in a negative way. It's going to bump the viewer. So you really want to avoid that. So you can see like the distance between all these trees are different. And this all just goes back to the idea of being dynamic. I've talked about this in previous videos that I always like to use the image of a scale. And, when things are even, it's not interesting. You want them to be dynamic. That's why if you're setting up a still life, it's good to, set up a big object and then, maybe have a smaller object overlapping it right next to it. That change in size is going to be interesting. So a fun thing that you can do is take a look at your paintings, your landscape paintings or still life, and see if you can find areas where you've made perfect spaces or you've made the same shape repeatedly, and then see if you can fix it. And also moving forward, now when you paint a landscape, you paint a still life, keep this in mind, and I promise you your landscapes will come out looking a lot more interesting. All right, if you would like some 1-minute bite-sized lessons, I have those on my Instagram at Forza43. If you'd like to be a part of my online art school, Paint Coach Studio, you can try it free for 7 days. I'll put a link to that in the description of this video. All right, I'm Chris Fornatero here telling you to go get painting.